All right. So this is the Habitat Weekly Public Issue Triage for the week of August 1st, 2017. I already posted actually the YouTube link in general, as well as the query that we'll be using today. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen over here, and we'll get started as quickly as we can. We're going to end up having to close up a little bit early today, but hopefully we'll be able to get through. We only have 15 issues that have not been triaged. So this one, let's start with 2856. Pop that open. I opened this one so I can talk us through it rather than making you read, but there's pictures there, so it should be self-sufficient. Effectively, the pattern matching that we're doing in the front end for key uploads, public key uploads, appears to be broken when you use an origin with a hyphen in the name. And to proof that out, I tested out a bunch of different dummy origins, basically with hyphens and without hyphens, and this is the only way that I could repro the issue is with the hyphen in the name. I don't think that it's a back end issue either, just because the second image that we have here, I was able to get the keys to upload via the CLI, just not through the front end. So I think it's a legitimate bug. I don't imagine that people outside of the team are gonna fix this one. So we can just add this into accepted minor. I believe this is going to be pretty easy to fix, theoretically easy to fix, and there might be some. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, that would be my guess. It's the only thing that I can imagine. We're missing something there, but cool. We can move on. Look at that, super easy. 2833. So give everybody a second here. I read through this one earlier, but it looks like Jamie's already commented on it, and it's all straightforward. Basically, we have when you run the have setup command, we don't do any validation over user input for a lot of the values that people plug in. Not all of them, but some of them at least. And so when you run have setup and you put in invalid names for things like your origin, have setup does not catch those invalid inputs. So they get written out to the CLI.toml, and we don't have enough input validation on that. So you can end up with some broken configuration. And the example that this community member used was effectively like he had a capital S, and we don't actually support that. At least for like starting the origin name or whatever. So
like this is kind of the flip side of the last issue, in that maybe we need to take a pass through all of our input validation and ensure that it's all consistent everywhere.
Indeed, indeed. And CLI. I think that's going to be also relatively easy. It'll be Rust code. Yep. Yeah. We'll do accepted minor, because I would assume that's also something we're going to end up needing to fix. Actually, I'm going to flag this. I know that Jamie has comment on it that we're going to correct this. I don't know if he's going to take that on or not. I'm going to throw this in help wanted for now, just because if somebody has time to just crank it out, they can crank it out. But I do think this would be an easy one for people who are looking for Rust code to get involved in. This part of the code base is like pretty straightforward, the have setup stuff. So it might be a good, easy entry point for anybody who's looking to contribute.
Yep. Good call.
So the next one is 2825, opened by Mr. Ryan Kearns.
Yeah.
Yep. This is an easy one. Or easy to validate, at least.
Right.
I don't know if it's easy to implement, but I would assume
it may require some API plumbing. I don't recall the details of the API that page is using at the moment, but.
Yep. Yeah, I'm not sure. I would assume most of our, let me think about that. So most of our APIs right now, or the ones that I've seen that are exposed, are also a little bit of Rust. Like the APIs themselves are Rust. Is that correct?
Yeah.
I figured. So I'm gonna add that in there just in case, because it's possible that there might be a little bit of Rust in order to expose those bits. There might not. That data may already be there, but
yeah, we've been adding channels to more bits of the API. So whatever this page is using on the back end may already have it. It may not. Like I said, I'm a little hazy on what that particular page is using at the moment, but it's possible.
Yep. Cool. So moving right along, 2823. Yeah, this would be good. This is going to be a habitat.sh feature, habitat.sh feature. Also probably going to be relatively easy. I would assume that probably we're using status page, and I think they probably have everything we could need as far as connecting with their API, and I would assume it's all pretty easy.
I think this is literally just add the link to our page.
Oh, really? Is that what they wanted? Oh, yeah. Yep. Never mind. That's even easier. I'm overthinking it. I was thinking like a badge.
Well, that would be cool.
Yeah, it would. Yeah. Well, we'll see. I guess we'll leave that up to our front end folks. 2676. So I asked for clarification on this last week, but I did not hear back. I will follow up with Chris on this one, but I think he's out for the rest of the day today at least. So I'll follow up with him tomorrow before we put this in a bucket. We'll come back to it.
I wonder if that's.
I wasn't, unless you know the answer to this.
I was gonna say, I wonder if that's anything different than just changing the value that we have injected into the supervisor configuration. Because I know we've got variables for that in our configuration files for those services. So I wonder if it's just a matter of configuring our things differently. But yeah, we should talk with Chris in case there's some special wrinkle that I'm not aware of.
Yeah, that was kind of the conclusion I think we had come to a couple weeks ago, and yeah, we'll just talk with him. We'll see what he has to say. Cool. The next one is an ongoing open RFC. We've talked about this several weeks in a row. It's not been accepted or denied yet. We still could use more feedback from core maintainers as well as community members. I have a feeling that like the implementation that's here isn't really that important. More or less the idea, the concept is having packages that can output from a single build more than one package. Effectively, like when you think about Postgres, you don't want to have right now the way that it works is we have a Postgres package, and then if we want just the lit libraries in order to use the CLI from an application, we need a Postgres libs package, and that's fine. But the problem is that we effectively pull down that same source code multiple times and build it multiple times just to throw away bits in multiple builds in order to get separate packages. So the challenge with this is that its implementation would be tricky because it touches everything. But it also would enable us, might enable us in ways with some other issues that other community members have run into like in regards to our concept of composite plans and a couple of other issues that we've seen kind of floating around. So if anybody who's watching the YouTube video, please feel free to read through this, leave some comments. I am gonna follow up on this, I think, with Fletcher when he's back, and hopefully Jamie before then. If we can't get enough traction with this in a few, just a handful more weeks, then we'll probably close this out. But for now, we'll leave it open. All right, 2327. Yeah, so I think right now when we switched our search that the searching the blog is now tied in. So I think that bit of it is done. These other two things would be great to have. Let's see if we can't pull that up real quick. So we do have the follow buttons, but we don't have buttons in place for users to be able to just share it out themselves. Like you can go here and these will link over to our other things, but it'd be good to have a button where you can,
like on each post.
Yep. Yeah. So that'd be great. Obviously Brian added it, so I would assume that he has some stake in it. I think this is would be a great feature.
Yep.
And we can add this into Help Wanted for now, because I don't know who would end up writing this. It might be a Chris thing, or it might even be a Ryan thing, but I won't assign anybody to it. I'll put it in Help Wanted. And when I talk with Chris tomorrow and follow up with him on the other issue, I'll make sure that he's aware that this is in there. Actually, now that I think about this, I don't imagine that a community member would probably contribute this work.
Yeah, it's kind of inside baseball stuff.
Yeah, I'll put it in accepted minor. This is, I know that part of the code just enough to be able to probably crank something super ugly out and then have Ryan and Chris fix it because of how much it hurts them to look at it. So
pain-driven development.
Yeah, yeah. And actually, I'm going to go ahead and leave a comment on this real quick. All right, and we'll move on to 2324. This is something I think we're all definitely aware of.
Yeah, I think Jamie actually mentioned this to me yesterday when we were talking, is something that I personally might be picking up in the not too distant future. So this is definitely something that we're going to be doing.
Yep. I figured as much. I think, yeah, like this is something we've talked about for a while. But for anybody who's watching, the general gist of it is that right now, if you do a config apply and you have a update strategy of rolling, our update strategies are not used by the configuration, applying configuration to a cluster. So effectively what happens is your configuration goes out to everything. And then even if your update strategy is rolling and you need to keep things up, what's going to happen is all those are going to get updated the moment that they get the configuration change, which depending on whether or not you have a reconfigure hook or not, could mean that all of your services are updated all at once. And so you could have a blip in your service availability. So basically, we just need to kind of take that functionality that we've got for rolling out package changes and package updates to also applying configuration to a cluster. Probably a pretty complex bit of code.
A little bit.
Yep. So I'm going to probably put that at hard for now. It is something that we really need. It's all going to be. Yeah, all Rust. And we'll put that in accepted minor. That'll be a really awesome feature once we finally have it, for sure.
So refresh my memory again, difference between accepted minor and accepted major.
Yep, so accepted minor, the bucket of accepted minor are all issues like that within some reasonable amount of time should end up on our backlog. Mm-hmm. And same with accepted major, but the primary difference would be an accepted major is going to be more or less something that would break backwards compatibility. It's
okay, gotcha.
That like we want, but that we can't implement or we can't implement immediately, or if we do implement it, it's going to be like when we go to 1.0 or 2.0 or what have you, basically.
Yeah. All right, that makes sense. Cool, thank you.
Yeah. 2317 by Mr. Paul here. Give everybody a second to read that. Oh yeah, I already commented on this. That was just to unblock him. There are a few things in the studio right now, in the state of the studio right now, like this that started off because of out of a need, and as time has gone along, that need has kind of become less and less. But effectively, what causes this? If you ever try to like ping localhost or resolve any host name that you put in Etsy hosts inside of the studio, it's going to die. And Paul has a video here that we can show real quick. So he's effectively pinging his crate demo, which is a node, right? He's doing a Hab Studio enter there. You can see the entries for crate demo 1, 2, 3, and 4. Yeah. And basically, the gist of it, it's pretty straightforward, is just that we don't drop an nsswitch.conf into the studio, and wget by default is going to try to use DNS to do resolution. So more or less, all you have to do is is add an nsswitch.conf file with the contents that tells your system to use the host file first. And that solves the problem. And when I say wget is trying to use it by default, wget is going to try to use DNS to resolve by default if there's no nsswitch.conf to tell wget how to handle name resolution. So that's that. I think that this is kind of a chore activity. It's something that we need to do as far as shoring up that developer experience inside of the studio. And that's probably something that that I should just crank out. It'll likely just be a couple lines of shell script inside the Hab Studio package. So we'll do this for now. I'm going to go ahead and add this to accepted miner as well.
Sounds good.
All right. So 2315 is the next. This is an old issue. I'll give everybody a moment to read through it. These are just the logs.
I wonder if this will be fixed by the new departed state in
Yep.
028.
I'm also wondering that. So we can test this. I might give this a shot here after we get off the call for now. Since it sounded like Adam already had a fix that he was working on for this. I'm not sure if it's implemented or not. We'll put this in accepted miner for now. It's something that we're going to have to fix. And we'll test to see if this has been resolved. If it has been resolved, we'll close it out. And if not, we'll just make sure that the team is aware of it as we're implementing more changes.
Cool.
All right, 2299.
Okay. That's probably a straightforward fix.
Yeah.
Supervisor. Sure. Probably easy. Definitely Rust. And that could possibly be a help wanted.
Yeah. Yep. I think it would probably be a good one as well for people to fix because it is probably just related to what types are getting passed back up, bubbling back up there.
Yeah, and if we're putting up the name of a config file, then there's like prior art that can be copied.
Yep.
So, yeah, that looks good.
All right, 2224. So this one's been open a while. Actually, I think this might be done.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. So the member IDs right now, so members can be reincarnated, but they have to be isn't reused unless it's the same node being reincarnated, right?
I maybe that sounds sensible. I'm not super familiar with that corner of the code just yet, though.
Yeah. Let's do this. So I guess the second half of this, if I finish rereading what he had to say there, was this next step would be to come up with a way to reclaim old IDs. All right. We'll get responses there, and then we'll decide what to do with that. That's one better handled by Jamie at this point. Okay, 22, 21. Oh, yeah, that might be an actual bug. I think that's more a bug in the CLI than it is the supervisor, though. And
I wonder if there's, because I know we have like the top level CLI, and then we mount a couple other packages underneath it to implement things. I wonder if something's getting mixed up at that interface, you know?
yep, yeah, it should be easy enough to investigate.
Yeah.
This is the only report of this that I've seen. And the other thing is, I guess, since a lot of these commands are aliased and have changed recently, yeah. It's hard to say whether or not this is still an issue. I think it probably, if it is an issue, I think it probably still is, but I'm going to throw this.
We should investigate it at least, but I think Matt's right. If we do end up determining that it's something in the clap code versus our code, we should kick it up to them.
Yep. Yeah. Or even open a PR to fix the upstream if that's.
Or that.
Cool. 2213. I don't know that this is still the case, is it?
I'm not sure. Are you asking if it's the case that it barfs on non-numeric versions, or that we accept non-numeric versions?
I think I thought that we actually do accept non-numeric versions, but I might be wrong.
This might be another example of like the first two issues where we're not consistently validating all of the inputs that we expect everywhere.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? No, this was closed. This is one that I screwed up. Ha! This needs to be closed. I missed.
What do you mean?
So when we move, this was put into accepted, and then I had a day where I was going in and screwing around with a new tool, and I think that it removed it from, well, maybe not. I've seen a few of these over the last couple of weeks that showed that Tasha had moved them from, like, removed things from accepted. I think that this can probably be closed.
Oh, yeah. That's probably what that is, yep.
Yeah. I bet this is the same thing. Yep.
I think this is
Resolved.
Yeah. Really need to be more careful about linking issue IDs into PR.
Yeah, the whole workflow, it gets kind of complex. Cool. So that leaves us just with the one follow-up, an RFC, or sorry, the two follow-ups and the RFC. So that's going to be it for today. We do have to finish up a little bit early because I have a prior engagement I need to deal with. So we'll finish up early this week. Next week, if we get through all the issues really rapidly, then what we'll probably do is try to take a look at either open PRs on core plans or core plans issues. And I'm planning to schedule another call at some point this month to go through the triaged issues and make sure that things that have been completed have been closed out, and things that need to be moved onto the backlog are moved onto the backlog. So, and that'll be all for today. So thanks everybody for tuning in, and see you next week.